Yeah. Hi, I'm live. It is the first Friday of the month, so I will be doing it. I can see the live. I've been practicing. So I'm Trisha Broderick, and my name is not showing up. So there we go. I'm Trisha Broderick. I'm with Ignite Insight and Innovation. And every first Friday of the month, I'm going to go live. LinkedIn still has not approved my immediately to go live there. So I'm only going live on Facebook right now, but I will be hopefully getting that soon. We'll see. If not, I will at least be uploading this later so that you can see it live there. and be able to hopefully get that, because that is where I spend most of my time professionally anyways, is on LinkedIn. So we will be doing that. Today, I'm actually going to do a topic that I've done quite a bit, but I wanted to kind of do it again under this brand because I've done it under Agile for All and whatnot. But I don't know if it's because it's 2020. I don't know if it's because it's reality and we're humans, but I'm still getting a lot of requests for the conflict and to cover some of that information and talk a little bit again about the awareness of how conflict turns into drama, and we want conflict. We do not want drama. And so I'm going to test out some new tools this go around to see how this works and how we are doing this. So we're going to be focusing in on, again, just how conflict turns into drama and what that means in terms of what we're trying to do. And just a little mini session, little mini bonus material, okay? So I'm going to try and share my screen, see if this goes. Nope, that's too little. There we go. Okay. I'm going to move this over here. And then, so I'm not looking at myself. And I'm actually going to use Miro because the last time I did it on a flip chart. But I'm trying to experiment and trying new things and seeing what we have with this. So we're going to use Miro here and actually use this to have this discussion. I pulled this from Dr. Karpman, and he's not an Agilist. He's not in the Agile space, but he's a research doctor that researched how humans interact with each other and what are some common patterns that we have. And what he highlighted is that there is often somebody that we refer to, or he refers to, as persecutor. There's some problem that's happening, and they have good intent. They want a resolution to this problem. But unfortunately, it usually sounds really negative. It sounds in this accusatory, this judgmental, this persecuting way of like, it's all your fault, now fix it. But there is a good intent there that something's wrong, something needs to get fixed, something has to happen, but the delivery of it can be really harsh. And when the delivery of it is harsh, when there is a persecutor, that usually means there's a victim. And so again, there's this good intent often with somebody that might have done something wrong, that they want to succeed. Very few people walk around going, please let me mess up today. It just doesn't happen, or at least not often. I'm usually going, oh, please don't screw this up. And I'm even panicking right now of whether or not this is going live correctly, but we'll assume it is. But when I'm in that victim space, when I often have this feeling of, it's just not fair. They don't understand. It's hopeless. There's nothing more that I can do. And then there's actually a third role. Now, sometimes this role is done by the same person. Sometimes it's a different player in the mix, that there's a rescuer. They also have good intent. They're trying to help. They want to help not only the resolution of the problem that instigated the whole thing, but also helping each person in this dynamic, the persecutor as well as the victim. Usually, though, it's done a little sneaky. It's like, poor you, let me save them. Let me come in and rescue. They need me to help. And this happens over and over and over again. And one of the dynamics that comes into place with this is, I'll give actually a personal, real experience for me. Not, and I won't do a professional one just for the sake of confidentiality on that front. I actually had a neighbor, and a neighbor made a statement, and I would say the statement was a little harsh and something I personally did not agree with. And they said this statement, we're at, I don't know, a community, a neighborhood get together, whatever. They made this statement. And technically I probably should have felt like the victim of this statement. But in reality, I almost became this rescuer. Like, I know I'm going to set her correctly on why what she said was not appropriate or why what she said wasn't very good. And so I went into this rescue mode, only I'm doing it manipulatively. Now, granted, tasty alcoholic beverages were involved as well, but I definitely went into this rescue like, I'm going to rescue her. I'm going to save her from herself dynamic. But she's coming in as almost like she sees herself as the victim, is why she even made the statement to begin with. But I also saw her as the persecutor. So we have all this role confusion of who's really playing what role. But that only got worse because as this conversation continued on, she started viewing me as the persecutor because I was being mean to her with things. She started seeing herself as the victim. Well, the more that I saw her starting to see the victim, I got angry and became the persecutor in a lot of ways, which then caused different dynamics. And we just basically kept spinning. We kept spinning and spinning and spinning until it was completely confusing as to who was playing which roles. I'm not even sure at the end of it who was in which roles. We had kind of played lots of different roles in this conflict that we were having. And that role switching, that constant role switching is what turned it into drama. It turned it into drama because which problem were we really fixing? The original statement or the later statements I made or the later statements she made? And then as we just kept going and going and going forward. And unfortunately, as this continues, it gets really, really hard to unpack. And now suddenly something that was somewhat small, something not so big, continues to blow up and blow up. And that then results in drama. So it's something that had good intent across the board from everybody, behaviors, delivery styles, created some problems. And because we couldn't address the original thing, we just kept switching roles and escalating it. Now, as you're going forward with this, we see this in all sorts of relationships, family relationships, friendships, relationships, colleague relationships. And the reality is we do want to address this conflict before those spins start to happen. We want to address it in a way that these spins don't happen. And in order to do that, that means we have to acknowledge that often in conflict, whatever your intentions are, as noble as they may be, rarely align with the impact and perceptions, specifically in conflict, which is what causes the conflict. And here's the little trick to this. No matter how great your intentions are, they do not dismiss the impact. They do not overrule the impact. At the end of the day, the impact is more important than the intent. Intent's important. I don't really want to be interacting with somebody that's walking around and being mean to people intentionally and trying to hurt people intentionally and persecuting people intentionally. That's not good. But it's not an excuse. It's not a get out of free card. It's not the reason to just excuse any impact and dismiss the impact that's happening. And so if we want the switches to stop, we really have to acknowledge very early on that no matter what our good intent is as that persecutor, no matter what we're trying to solve in our bigger noble cause, our bigger purpose, that how we approach that, if it causes an impact, it's something that we need to talk about and address, maybe need to learn about, maybe be transparent about, maybe grow and see from different angles. Because when we do that, it helps us to actually stop that spin and people don't level up. I mean, if you stay a victim for so long, at some point, many victims become persecutors because they're just exhausted. They're exhausted from that role. Now, what can we do? Because I'm talking about these behaviors in terms of things. And again, this is just a quick little intro, but one is just don't let it spin. But let's say it's spinning a little bit, or it's just starting, or you want to even avoid the conflict in a negative sense to begin with. There's still a problem to solve. We can't avoid the problem because that doesn't make anything better either. And so what we want to do is come at this in slightly different kind of mindset. in a different part. There's something that's known as, instead of the drama triangle, it's known as a compassion triangle. And so instead of the persecutor going, hey, there's something wrong, you have to fix it. And it's almost like that. I'm just going to tell you, and I'm doing nothing ever wrong in my delivery. We're going to come at it a little bit more from and I'm using the other screen so it's just easier, perspective, a challenger perspective. There's still a problem to be fixed, but I want to challenge in a way of what's possible. What can we do to fix this? Instead of as a judgmental, you're doing this wrong, fix it dynamic. Look, it's 2020. We need to have some grace. Things are going wrong all over the place. I had a class today and yesterday for the advanced CSM. It has pre-work. I was so on top of my game. I sent it out weeks ago before the holiday, only to get an email like the day before the class going, I think it says that it has pre-work. I haven't seen anything. And I'm like, what? I sent something. And I'm like looking at I sent it only to myself. I emailed nobody else. I sent it solely to myself. And as a result of that, I'm like, yep, I have failed. So a lot of times if we come at this when there is a problem or a challenge, not just with assume good intent, right? Like there is an element of assume good intent, but also just forward momentum, opportunity. What could be done? What can we think of what's possible? If nothing else, 2020 is trying to teach us that. What's possible? What else can we do together? And so if you come at it from that mindset, chances are you're a little less judgmental, a little less accusatory, a little less harsh in the delivery, will have this kind of impact to where the person, instead of feeling like the victim, will feel like a creator to solve the problem, which is ultimately what that persecutor and challenger wanted, is just to solve the problem. But when you're in that headspace of feeling like anything's possible, that yes, something's wrong, but what can we do? So many of us, especially us knowledge workers, we're problem solvers. Give us a problem. We'll go after it. Make us feel bad about it. Our defense strategies come up first, and then we got to get over that hurdle and all of those things. And so it's not just even just make people feel good. It's untapping that potential, that innovation, that creativity, which is ultimately what we want in order to solve the problem to begin with. So if the persecutor kind of comes at it from a challenger mindset, chances are the victim doesn't feel so hopeless and helpless, but can actually feel like more of a creator. And then there still is this other role that often comes into play. But this role that I am so guilty of many, many times in terms of trying to rescue, trying to help, trying to do those things, to do it in a more transparent way. Look, there is still an opportunity to have somebody that can step back and see a bigger picture, that can look at things from multiple perspectives, that can help bridge and make connections. But don't do it manipulatively. Don't do it in a way that people wonder if you're taking sides. Be open, be transparent, coach and help bring those things together so that those spins don't happen, so that we don't end up in a situation where you actually contribute. And there are so many times that I started off as this rescuer, yeah, sure, with good intent. But at the end of the day, because I was helping behind the scenes and not everybody knew, and then I at some point ended up feeling like a victim because now I'm being attacked when all I was doing was trying to help. Because, you've never made that statement either, right? Like it's a common statement. It's like, why am I in trouble? Or why am I being attacked? I was just trying to help. Well, but were you really helping if it's sneaky? Were you really helping if you're trying to save people versus to truly help them and help them create, help them challenge in productive and healthy ways, especially in an organization, especially as we're working to try and help teams embrace healthy conflict? Because we can't say teams are most successful in diversity and with engagement of all voices, because there is different thought and different perspectives. And and then not engage it and not expect that to have conflict. Of course, that's going to have conflict. But how do we handle that conflict? How do we approach what mindset and behaviors do we come at that conflict with that keeps it at conflicts and problems to solve and not drama? Because no one wants drama. It's exhausting. It's tiring. It's really a no-win situation once you get into that drama. But we need conflict to really create. And so this is the balance, thinking about how we want to approach those differences, how we want to approach it both from a mindset and behavior. And I realize that this is so much easier said than done, especially when I'm going to switch this back over. I must need somebody to do these things for me. Look at that. See, I don't have an inside voice. Ooh, and my screen is showing my green screen right there. All transparency. See, all transparency. We are learning, but the sun does feel nice, even though it's in the winter and it's coming through the light. So I should have fixed that the last time, but it's too nice not to. So until we can get live in more places, I realize that I'm kind of somewhat talking to myself, but I hope that this was valuable for you. Just a quick little snippet of information and maybe some useful information going into the holidays with the family and friends, because it is 2020 after all. In terms of things that I have upcoming, unfortunately, today is the last public class that I have. Oh, actually, I have a conflict. I have approaching conflict workshop that's bigger than this one on the 10th, but I think there's only a couple seats left in it. And it's only a 2-hour session, but it goes a little bit deeper into what I'm talking about right now. After that, today was my last public class with the Advanced CSM. I'm doing one more lap, but that's a private with Jake next week. So I have released dates for some classes in 2021. You can find them on my website at igniteii.com. But mostly just stay safe for the rest of this year and let's kiss 2020 goodbye. I think we're all tired and done with this year. So the next time it will be around, because of the holidays, will be instead of the first Friday, it will be the second one, but it will be January 8th and it will be 2021. Hopefully closer to when we can actually be out of this house. That's my goal. So be safe. Till next time.